Current were notified of this meeting. A copy of the same was posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building. Would you please turn off cell phones, pagers, and all electronic equipment? Stand for the flag salute. Attention, salute.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tom, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Becker.
Here.
Mr. Blumberg. Here. Ms. Tawny.
Here.
Mrs. Tawby, would you like to begin the discussion? Seeing as you're...
Sure. We had a meeting with the DEP a couple of weeks ago, and as everyone knows, the governor really wants to do dunes up and down the coast. I was trying to arrange a meeting for Keith Watson, the project manager of the Army Corps of Engineers, to come and talk to the commission and also the public, so he could, share details and answer everybody's questions directly. Unfortunately, I spoke with Ben Kaiser about 15 minutes ago, and we weren't able to confirm that. So when the meeting is arranged, we'll make sure that it's communicated to all our residents, on Facebook. Maybe we can do a robocall.
Brenda, you said we had a meeting. Can you tell us who the we had a meeting was? Because I wasn't aware of it.
She says she's trying to get it.
Oh, no, she said we had a meeting a couple of weeks ago.
She said she had it.
Oh, she had a, no, we had a meeting.
Okay. Rich Deeney was there. The city engineer, Ed Wahlberg, was there. Myself. Scott Abbott.
Yes.
Okay. And that's all to report.
Okay.
You want me to talk about that meeting?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Please, thank you.
It was an initial meeting with Ben Kaiser and I think it was initial meeting with the DEP representatives for shore protection. Ben Kaiser and Bill Dixon came down and met with us. Ed, you were present. I was present. Commissioner Talby was present. Rich Deeney, our city administrator, was present. I think that was it. And they basically started to lay out what the governor's program is and the DEP's program regarding having all the shore communities involved with the shore protection. They gave us some sample easements, sample letter, explained to us that they feel there are 9 properties along the Margate beachfront that require written approval.
Scott, do they ever address the issues that towns have related to flooding on the bayfronts?
Commissioner Blumberg,
these programs...
it was initially just I would consider it the first step of many steps.
Right.
They didn't give us any firm thing. There is a funding program where possibly the city would only be responsible. Commissioner Talby, I forget what it was. Was it 9%?
The funding opportunities were discussed, and we would be responsible for, at the very worst, 9%, but up to 100%. So that'll probably be announced in the near future. But the 100% is possible, but 91 is the very worst.
But again, no, there was no discussion about the issues specifically that Margate has around the bay, in all the areas and lagoons where we experience flooding. Would that program cover that? Because I think I read in the paper somewhere where Atlantic City has applied for and got grant money for a new pumping system around the lagoons and the properties where they have trouble.
I think
like some $3-odd million they got.
Well, now for the canal project, more. That was for the canal project. It's
right.
been on the drawing board for 50 years, I think.
Okay.
That's a grant of $1 million.
Yes, Commissioner, now you're bringing up a topic near and dear to my heart, and perhaps Commissioner Talby's heart. Yes, our bay suffered from the storm and flood. We have significant filling in of a lot of the areas around our marinas and our homes, and that should maybe be a part of all this. And as I understand in other communities, it is a part of the whole package. We're only at the very preliminary step. The purpose of that resolution was to start to explore it. There's many questions. I know you've asked me about this with the drainage, with the easements, with the public access. There are many steps to this process. We even have an issue now that was brought up regarding the requirement of a referendum on this, because a number of years ago an ordinance was passed that mandated a referendum. Excuse me. So, and not the least is the whole funding question. So, it's just something we're going to have to explore it and really analyze it.
Maury, the resolution that we passed just keeps us eligible for funding and gives us time to explore the entire picture.
I understand that, but
Yeah, that was absolutely
the
critical.
concern I have is that neighboring towns believe that we are already signed up to this project. Now, I don't know, Commissioner Talby, have you had any conversations with Longport or Ventnor indicating that we are signed up for this project? Or is that just rumor?
No.
So you've had no conversations with anyone in Ventnor or Longport?
We're on the same page as Longport at the exact same step. They just recently passed a resolution, and I believe Scott drafted ours based on Longport's.
Okay, but Longport's on record that they're in. I mean, their mayor seems to me that he's on record that they're building dunes and they're going forward.
I can assure you, while we're talking about being at meetings, the mayor of Longport invited me about a month ago to go to the DEP, meet with Mr. Kaiser and all those other people, and I did. It was a learning adventure for me. He certainly is committed.
Right, okay. So, again, one of the things that I'm hearing is that Ventnor has been told that we are, in fact, in. And as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing that could be further from the truth, and I just wanted to get that cleared up.
As far as I know, I certainly didn't commit to anything.
Fine.
Okay. Next item.
You want to go with me, or you want to accept public comment first? I know former Mayor Reel.
I think we can accept public comment.
Typically go
How do you
through
want to
the agenda.
Pardon? All right, we're
Typically
going
go
to
through
go
the
by
agenda.
the agenda, so Vaughn, you're going to have to wait till...
I'll be very quick, or try to be. I had requested the AT&T representatives to come here. I know Ed Wahlberg's been working on it. I'm sorry, you picking me up now? Okay. I had asked the AT&T representatives to come here. I understood there was some urgency for them to modernize their telephonic equipment that is on our existing water tower at Gladstone Avenue, I believe. Mr. Stillwell's here. I would ask they come forward for the governing body. We can probably
Is that okay with you,
handle this.
All right, with you?
And there's
We're
a
good.
gentleman with you, Tom, from AT&T. Essentially, this is how I understand it. They want to put a, boy, that's really loud. They want to put a 2x2 dish in addition to their antennae that are already on the water tower. Their lease, I believe, says they can have a certain number. They only have less than that. Mr. Stillwell's going to set us straight, but they want to try to get this equipment up for the summer season.
That's correct. Warren Stillwell from the firm Cooper Levinson on behalf of AT&T. With me is Mr. Tom Zollner, who's a representative of a site acquisition company that represents them. There is an existing agreement between New Singular Wireless and doing business as AT&T and the City of Margate. And pursuant to that lease, which I have provided a copy of that to Mr. Abbott, and I have a copy with me, we're permitted to have up to 12 antennas on the water tank. We only have 6 there currently. What we're proposing to do is to add one 2-foot diameter, and this is a cut sheet for what we're proposing to do, one 2-foot diameter.
Why don't you hand it right to the mayor and commissioners?
Thank you, sir.
It's just one 2-foot diameter microwave dish. The purpose of the, of course, attaching the dish with cabling. The purpose of the dish is to provide what they call a backhaul network. The backhaul network is actually the telephone service, and currently it's being provided by copper wires that aren't adequate to to hold the capacity or to carry the capacity demanded by modern digital telecommunication services. So the way that AT&T is upgrading many of their sites is to use a microwave dish so that it can connect to the telephone system. And that's it. That's the sum total of what we're proposing is this 2-foot dish. We think it's covered and within the parameters of the existing contract, and we'd like to be able to proceed with that as an understanding. I don't think, based on a reading of the contract, that it requires that an amendment is required. But I'd leave that up to your solicitor.
And that's why we're leaving it up to you, because that one's a real close call. It's 2x2 dish. Ed, you want to comment on this, or?
Just if you want to clarify that the cables will remain within inside the tower, the dry area of the tower. The installation will be the same as the rest of the antennas. As far as ground facility, is there additional ground equipment that has to go up?
Why don't you go up to the microphone, because when you say up and down with your head, nobody can hear that.
This is Mr. Tom Zollner from Velocitel. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. There's a small amount of equipment that would be placed in the existing shelter that's already there that would connect with this equipment and help just facilitate the communications.
I just wanted to make sure, so it was on the record for everybody, they understand.
Okay.
That's where the cables will be within. So visually, all we will see is a 2-foot diameter radar microwave dish up around the paint ring somewhere, around your existing
Yes, it
antennas.
would be around the existing antennas that are already there.
Okay, no, that's good.
Sir, just so I understand, the existing agreement talks about 6 antennas. The reason that you're here in front of us today is because this is a dish, not an antenna. Is that why, Scott, you believe there's a gray area?
Well, this got to me as possibly a potential amendment of the lease and/or wanting additional rent from them. I had the opportunity to speak with Mr. Stillway after I talked to our people, primarily Eddie Wahlberg, our engineer, and it was explained to me that this is part of their system they're upgrading. It's FCC approved. It's a modernization of their existing telephonic service equipment. And then Warren brought up this point, well, you know, we're allowed to have up to 12. We've got 6. I'm thinking to myself, well, that's up to the governing body. Do we feel this amounts to an amendment of our lease, or is this simply an upgrading of their existing equipment permitted by the lease? I tend to lean that direction, but it's you three, you're the governing body. You're going to have to make the call on this.
One of my concerns, and the reason you're here, is I wanted to see what this looked like, and I thank you for the picture there, and I'm okay. I'm prepared to move forward.
I as well am satisfied with the solicitor's opinion.
Me
This
too.
will be an upgrade for everybody in Margate. So.
Thank you.
We'll be done by Monday, is that correct?
By Monday?
Monday.
We're working on it.
All right, let me just double check. Do you need something from us? Does Tom, the purchasing agent, does anybody feel they need a resolution or an amendment or a letter, or we just
The
acknowledge?
question is, are there work permits required and things like that?
We've already gotten our building permits.
Okay.
Oh, you got them already?
We
Okay.
applied for them and got them.
So we're good, you're good to go?
We are good to go.
And Scott, what about the lease?
And
You
it'll
were
be
concerned
done.
about whether or not it needs to be amended? Do we need to note on that or anything?
Well, that was one of the questions. I tend to feel it really isn't an amendment because they're upgrading their existing equipment.
What I can say is that we'll provide you with a letter with a depiction of what the tank will look like with the microwave antenna added to it, so that it would be
Part of the lease.
part of the lease. We can
That
just
would be
do
great.
We can just do an
That's
amended
good.
exhibit.
I'm okay with that. Thank you.
Good? Ed, you're fine with that too? Great.
Brenda?
Commissioners,
Yes.
you're all good
I'm
with that?
fine. We're all good. Thank you very much for coming.
Appreciate
Okay.
it. Thank you.
All right. Now,
You want me to keep going, Mayor? or-
well, we have this Green Acres letter. Do you have the copy?
Is that me or is that Commissioner Talby?
This is Tavi here. Do you want to continue on?
I can cover it or you can, Scott, it doesn't matter.
I'll defer.
Why don't you do the
Okay.
Green Acres? Go down.
In a meeting with Green Acres and with Jessica Patterson, It appears that our leases with Margate Little League and...
Brenda, if I can interrupt, who had a meeting? You, who was in the meeting?
Okay. Rich Genie, myself, Jessica Patterson, three people from the Concerned Citizens, and Steve Warner and Joan Naden. Am I missing anybody, Rich? Am I missing anybody that was at that meeting?
Brenda, is this letter the letter that Rich, we got an email from Rich that he was going to be meeting this week with the Little League and then was going to report back to the commission? Is this the same letter?
Yes.
So, Rich, have you had a chance to meet with the Little League yet? Are you ready to report on this letter?
Scott and I have an appointment to meet with representatives of the Little League tomorrow morning at 8:30 in Scott's office.
So I would say, in all due respect, I think discussion related to this letter now is preliminary and probably not productive.
Well, I think that we should put it out there that the leases that we currently have are not considered valid, and that, yes, that Scott and Rich are meeting and they're going to make things right. Lucy isn't in this letter. It's not addressed. That'll be forthcoming. But yeah, I received that in the email too, and that's good. I'm glad they're going to make things right.
Okay. Thank you. You okay?
I'm satisfied.
We're good. Want to do stage rental next?
Excuse me,
Back, maybe?
Mayor? Commissioner Tauby, could you just, I didn't catch it. Is it, you said Little League, the leases with Little League and the batting cages? Because I want it for the record.
Well, actually, the batting cage is another story. The batting cage wasn't legally permitted. The proper chains of command or channels weren't followed. So that's one issue.
Okay.
But I'm referring to the Margate Little League lease.
Okay.
Right.
That's all I need. Thank you.
All right. You want to stage or stage?
On the Green Acres or stage? Which one do you want me to comment on?
You're on stage.
Okay. Commissioner Blumberg asked me to draw up a proposed ordinance regarding stage fee, and I know this has been ongoing. I also understand Commissioner Tauby has had some thoughts on this as well. I think there are two different directions. Commissioner Blumberg wants to waive or have the ability for the governing body to waive any stage rental fees. And I do have that ordinance. In fact, as he came to my office, we worked on it, and you will be considering that tonight. I guess you're going to consider it right now. Commissioner Tauby, I do know that you have felt to come up with some type of compromise as well, where perhaps the stage equipment would be stored at maybe the log cabin and allow various groups to use it. And really, that's all I have. The only ordinance I have is ordinance number 15 of 2012's amendment regarding stage fees, as I was requested by Commissioner Blumberg. I'm not sure that, I don't think you asked me to amend an ordinance, or did you?
I don't remember what my wording was either, but when I went away, I wanted to discuss it. But I think you were going to be away, and Maury wanted to
That's right.
table it, and I was okay with that.
But
I'm okay with the ordinance, provided that I think it makes total sense to loan the stage to the log cabin for $1. And I've been speaking with Tom Flynn about this for quite a long time, even before Mr. Campbell showed up. And doing that will save the city money. I mean, we set it up and broke it down 6 times at the log cabin last year, 6 times. So if we drop it and let them use it this summer, we don't have to pay our team to set up and break down each time. And outside of the people that use it there, I can't think of anybody other than the Margate Business Association that will be needing to use the stage. You know, they use it over at the log cabin. And frankly, I am for loaning it to the Margate Business Association because it's a citywide event, and we sponsor that event. So I think they should be allowed to have the stage at no cost.
All right. Maury, what's your choice?
I think that's a... Go ahead.
There's obviously a proposed amendment Is that correct, Scott?
That is correct,
Well,
Mayor.
the amendment can stay. I'm okay with the amendment. I'll vote for the amendment, but I think it behooves us, the commission and the city, to let the log cabin have it this summer so that we don't have to break down and set up 6 times.
Yeah.
I haven't, and I appreciate the compromise. I haven't had a chance to speak with the log cabin. My only feeling was that the charitable organizations that want to use the stage should be able to use the stage without a charge.
What other charities outside of the log cabin?
Well, I know that the
I'm familiar with all-
JCC uses the stage. I know that...
Spin for the Cure has already been contacted by Tom Flynn.
Okay, so, again, there are other organizations, whether or not the log cabin wants the responsibility to house and store the stage, I don't know, Brenda, because I
I already
haven't
spoke
had...
with them, and we figured all that
I haven't
out.
had those discussions. Maybe what I'll do is I'll defer to Commissioner Campbell when it's time for public
Well,
session.
Tom Flynn said that former Commissioner Campbell doesn't really represent the log cabin.
I know that there are other organizations.
Okay.
I know that there are other organizations that may use the stage, have used the stage, we've used the stage. Again, the JCC uses it, Beach Stock uses it, we use it at Fun Fest.
Beach Stock is MBA.
I know who they are.
Scott, do you have a copy of the proposed amendment? Have you done that?
I have my handwritten note. Tom, do you have one there, a copy of the ordinance amendment, or Rosie?
Which one?
To amend ordinance number 15 of 2012?
Yeah.
Do you have it
Again,
there, Rosie?
if
Let me take a look at it.
if there is no liability as it relates to, the log cabin housing the stage, when someone other than an event at the log cabin wants to use it, they can come to us and we can help make the arrangements. And so I'm okay with
They're
that.
not mutually exclusive,
Right, I understand that.
so let's do both.
And so I'm
I think that's a
good
fair
with that.
compromise. I'm willing to
I
okay
think
with the
everybody's in
amendment.
agreement here. Why don't we put it on next week?
Here's my suggestion to cut through this. I think you ought to have the authority to waive the fee for charities. I think you can do that.
We all agree to that.
You all agree to that?
And then we can work out the
As
logistics.
far as where we store the stage,
It's a separate issue.
that's a separate issue. You guys work that out with
But
Frank.
I've been in contact with, Public Works, Frank and I, we've been in contact with Tom Flynn back and forth, and he's going to store it. He was willing to take it and store it 12 months of the year, but what we've decided is we'll drop it in the beginning of the season and pick it up at the end of the season.
And we're not objecting.
Again, as long as we're
Saves us a lot of
we're
money.
talking about the Amendment 12 now, the amendment, item 12, and my major concern was that we were charging these nonprofits
Do we have a copy of that amendment?
to use the stage. And if we're going to waive that, then I agree with Scott and Rich that we can work out the details of where the stage is housed at a later date.
For the public, I have a copy of the proposed amendment. Would you like me to read it, or you? Okay. Be it ordained by the Commissioners of the City of Margate, County of Atlantic, and State of New Jersey, that ordinance number 15 of 2012, section 132-7B, be amended as follows. The governing body reserves a right to waive or reduce any stage rental fees for any nonprofit fund raising organizations and/or charitable events. Section 2, all ordinance or parts of ordinances inconsistent herewith are hereby repealed to the extent of such inconsistency only. Section 3, this ordinance shall take effect upon final adoption and publication and in the manner provided by law. I am fine with that. I think Commissioner Blumberg is, and I think Mrs. Taube is, and we will honor our commitment, give the stage, and let the log cabin store it and use it and save the city some money. Okay, so that is on item 12 on your agenda tonight. Are we agreed on that?
Yes.
Okay.
Move on.
All right, moving on. Next item. You'll see here Oceanfront Rumson Avenue. This is the one where Mr. Bailenson represents. I don't know if he's here yet or not. I don't see him. That's all right. Gentleman has the oceanfront property on the south side, or the Ocean City side of Rumson Avenue, and there is a 7-foot gap between his property line and the existing bulkhead. The gentleman has approached through Mr. Balance in this city to buy that strip of land. The strip runs, and we've talked about this before, it runs approximately 7 to 8 foot in width, the length of his ocean front, which is 85 feet. What we had talked about doing is possibly having a trade-off where the gentleman, the property owner, would rebuild the bulkhead, not only his bulkhead and protecting his property, but also the bulkhead that runs straight out Rumson Avenue on the southerly side, which is shot, except for a handicapped access opening, and possibly the street end. Ed has met with a contractor who's doing work for us now, possibly have the homeowner do the job, all the job, some of the job, trading off this strip of land, which there's maybe 4 or 5 blocks where we have this situation. It's a narrow strip of land, essentially used by the homeowners. It's not beach area, it's not sand area. The city doesn't get anything for it. We don't get any tax dollars for it. And possibly to save the city money, as the three of you know, you're going through this bulkhead rejuvenation of our street ends. Many of our bulkheads are over 50 years old, and we know they're about $1,000 a foot. Ed, can you shed some light on the potential costs? Where we are now is they had offered to spend up to $100,000, they being the property owner. It looks like it's 85 plus 100 and, how many feet, 140?
His property is 85, our return is 100, and the street end running parallel with the beach is 40.
All right. And so you estimate that's how much to do that job?
Depending on if it's a private individual or us, it could be anywhere from $800 a foot to $1,200 a foot to do that.
Which is how much in total?
So we have
25 times 60.
It's about 180-some thousand right there.
Well, it's going to be, it's 140,000 for us and 85,000 for him, for the average.
All right.
So $225,000.
Now, the lawyer and the homeowner, they don't want to pay $225. They're not willing to pay that. We had gotten a preliminary estimate. The land we're talking about is roughly 640 square feet. I think our tax assessor gave a fair market value of $140,000. Now, you get into debates about values of non-buildable strips of land. Is it really worth that kind of money? We're at a point where, and I don't mind talking to you this in the public, because I think what we'll do is possibly set a precedent with these other strips of land, because I don't know that the taxpayers should be, or I don't know if you're going to feel taxpayers should be paying to replace bulkheads, which essentially protect just that one home. I mean, I guess arguably you could say it protects the homes behind it, but it's a strip of land we get nothing for. We don't even get tax revenue on it. So if we can make a trade-off where they build bulkhead not only to protect their property, but also the street end, you have the idea. And right now, I think we're at 140, and they want the city to pick up the remaining balance, but they would implement, with our engineer's guidance, the construction of the new bulkhead, which would be the property, the return, the street end.
Hey, Scott, just...
Kind of unique.
Just so I understand, the strip of the land is worth $140,000 a
Roughly,
okay.
yes.
And the bulkhead will cost $220,000. So they're looking
Correct.
for $80,000 from us to pay the difference?
Did we get that right? Yeah, roughly.
Now,
Remember, we're estimating the cost of the bulkhead. We don't have a firm price. It's a
So
range.
$220 for the bulkhead. We trade the value of the land for $140
Yeah, it would be land plus cash.
plus
If-
$80,000.
And I don't know, Tom, if you're going to, Tom Hiltner, purchasing agent, Tom, on your opinion, I want you, because this is going to be tricky on how exactly we do this correctly. If we get the homeowner to build that bulkhead for the street, this would be a trade-off. Now, you can sell an adjoining unbuildable strip of land to a contiguous property owner without public bid. I know you can do that. And I know you can also do a trade-off in lieu of purchase price.
right.
So what I'd like to try to finalize, because this individual is saying, look, guys, either come and make a deal with me, or I'm going to design my new home and not incorporate this 7-foot strip. So I don't want to miss this opportunity But it's a little tricky. It's, some people, and I don't mind talking about it in public, but I think it could probably work out very well.
Scott, why don't we conceptually, if they,
That's what I'm trying to get to. Thank you, Mr. City Administrator. No, you were very good, conceptually.
if you conceptually agree to what's being talked about, then let Scott put it together, negotiate it finally, and talk to Tom as purchasing agent, make sure he's comfortable with it. And financially, we look at how we're going to fund our part of it, because we may have to figure out how to fund our part of it in order to get this built, and we'll bring it back to you. But this is the concept that Scott's working on.
I'm in agreement.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and you know what, we're probably not collecting tax revenue from that right now because we
Absolutely
don't,
not.
because they don't own the, so we would be deriving that.
Well, you're right. They don't own it, but they
So,
basically use it.
yeah, I'm okay with that too.
Okay, move on, Scott.
Thank you very much. We're moving on.
Just one more comment on that. There is a potential that we'll get some reimbursement from FEMA for some repairs on that section. So that could go towards the offsetting of our costs. I'm meeting with FEMA tomorrow to see, with all the bulkheads, what type of dollars we're talking.
Okay, that would be
Okay,
good.
good.
All right, last but not least, I think I'm basically done on the shore protection aspect. I have the draft easement, I have a rough draft letter, which the DEP asked us to look at. The three of you have to give this a lot of thought and maybe a lot of input on this. Is there anything you want to talk about on the shore protection aspect that we've been working on?
I'm okay, why don't you?
Good?
You know what, I don't know what Commissioner Blumberg and Mayor Becker feel about this, but I kind of think that we've done everything that we can do at this point, and the next step would be bringing down this gentleman from the Army Corps of Engineers to explain it better to all of us. And as soon as he gets back to maybe he'll get back to you, Ed, first, but, as soon as we hear from him, we can arrange that meeting. I think that would be the next step.
Okay, and look, so this doesn't come as a surprise to any of you. I've already had several members of the public remind me of this, that there's an ordinance on the books. Tom, we've got to get some research on this. Was it or wasn't it created by way of petition? And therefore, do we or don't we have the authority to, similar to what Longport did, rescind that ordinance? Or, and I suspect it's the or, once an ordinance is created by citizens' petition, I don't think you can just void it. I'm going to do a lot of research on this.
Yeah, we should be looking into that now, I think.
It's my understanding, and you're the solicitor.
But your understanding is appreciated. What is your understanding?
Well, it's my understanding, and I just found out about this yesterday, is that if an ordinance is a result of a referendum, that the action of that ordinance must go to a referendum. So I think we have to find out, and Tom, do you have that?
Which means you might have a referendum question. So we're not surprised by that. That may
I don't believe it was initiated by referendum. I think the initial concept of that group was going to initiate it, and the governing body at that time passed the ordinance on its own as a matter of good faith, so they did not continue with the referendum. But that's my memory. I'll go back and look.
Tom, do we have any paperwork?
We have the ordinance, and again, I'd have to go back and look at the minutes, but I don't believe it was done by...
But you have the ability to do it. Fine.
Yes, we do.
So we'll clarify that as Mr. Hilder gets that.
Right. So we have the terminology correct. It would have been a petition signed by citizens, and the governing body thereafter adopted the resolution based on that petition. That's the difference. There wasn't a referendum held in Margate. Only Ventnor did, but not Margate.
So if that's our understanding, that means we don't need to...
No, that I believe, I'm going to double check it, but I'm leaning towards, if you get an ordinance by petition that meets the requisite signatures, and the governing body abides by that petition, you can't simply just void that. Well, we'll get a much firmer research once I find out what they really did back in, when was that, 2001. We're working on that. But I don't want you to be surprised. I may be telling you, you've got to go to referendum.
Okay. What else? How about the...
I'm done. I've been doing a lot of talking. I'm
Recycling,
thirsty.
do you want to talk about it?
Yes, under Frank Richetti's
You're a superstar.
department and his maven of recycling, Franz Adler. Franz has asked me and have greatly assisted and met with me earlier this week. We are preparing a recycling ordinance. There is a draft of this floating around. Franz met with me again. He wants certain amendments. One of the key points on this recycling ordinance, because people may get alarmed, is when you do demolition or you put metal out on the curb, it's not that the city's taking money from the property owner. That is not it. It's that the city wants to get the credit that recyclable material, let's say it's copper or metal or whatever, we get a credit, which Franz explains to me, saves us money and gets us money as a municipality because it ups our recycle. Frank, you jump in and help me if you want. It ups our recycle contribution to the county recycle stream. We benefit dollar-wise. So Franz has really been on this, and he's been in my office a number of times, and we have it just about. He also wants a licensing. We just went over that. That's going to mean we're going to have to try to coordinate this perhaps with the police department so they know to look for what we came up with, Chief, is emblems for their trucks. So a police officer knows if they see somebody grabbing recyclable material off a curb, they'll know they have a license because they've got to have a sizable emblem on their truck. And what Franz has said, he's shown me articles. This may help down on vandalism in some communities. I don't think so much us. But other communities, there's an issue of vandalism. You know, they'll steal copper, they'll steal aluminum, whatever they. And I think he has won me over. Of course, him being 6'9" might have something to do with it. No, I'm only kidding. But we're there, and we'll have that for our next meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Scott. Now you're really done.
I hope I'm done.
Tom? SunPower.
We have a proposal. I just opened it today, so nobody's gotten a copy. I want to give Scott a copy, Ed, and everybody else. This group, SunPower, that had the monitoring and maintenance agreement for the solar panels for Union Avenue. Roger McLarnon received this proposal. I'll get it to everybody, and if possible, if everything's good, we'd like to maybe pass a resolution at the next meeting 2 weeks from now. It'll be for about $1,200 or maybe a little bit more. I want Scott and Ed to review it first, and I'll give everybody else a copy too.
Okay. Thank you, Tom. Mr. Galantino, you have something you'd like to...
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, Jim.
Do we at the planning board on April 26th, we discussed the demolition of homes past June 15th because the applicants, or we have so many applications coming in on the May agenda and also in June that the buildings may not be in time to make the June 15th deadline. So we're looking for is to notify the governing body that there may be additional demolitions past that point of the 15th. And the way we would do it, we would approach the governing body and state that 125 North Washington Avenue would probably be torn down past the deadline. And we're just looking for, I guess, your acknowledgement that there could be a possible phone call coming in that this person has torn down the house past the 15th. And what are your thoughts about that?
And this will be governed by the planning board, is that, or everybody, or anyone that wants to demolish a house?
Mayor, the way I understand it, the present ordinance gives the construction official discretion to waive the moratorium during the summer months under special circumstances. And what Jimmy is saying that is that the summer of 2013 is a major special circumstance that will affect many, maybe even dozens of homes. And he's just telling you that he may have to use that discretion more liberally than in the past. And he wants the commissioners to know that and kind of, understand that that's
part of the ordinance?
It's already in the ordinance, yeah.
I just speak for myself. I think we're in extraordinary times, and I'm okay with that.
Exactly.
As long as you keep everybody aware of what's going on, Jim, please.
Yes.
Okay.
And he did broach this at the planning board meeting. Yeah.
Okay.
And the planning board unanimously supported it also.
Okay. Thank you.
Do you want to do the fees? The waiving of fees?
Do we want to waive the fees?
May 1st was the deadline of waiving of fees. Do we want to talk about it, continuing it for another 30 days?
What do you think? Is it necessary? I mean, I'm kind of thinking, didn't we extend it once already?
Yes.
I say let's not again.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Let's not extend it again.
Maury, what's yours?
Somebody needs to turn on.
Oh, I'll turn it off. You're still not, there you go.
Okay, so it's counterintuitive, but we just said that we're in extraordinary times, and yet we're not willing to waive fees for extraordinary circumstances. And so that I would suggest that we grant a 1-month extension and let the people know that there's a 1-month extension, and then move on from there. That would be my recommendation, but I would defer to construction code official for his opinion. He's the expert.
I want, Maury, I want you to listen to me in the public also. We finally agree. I agree.
Can I go home now?
I think we should, and this is only for damage due to the storm, correct?
That's correct.
This is not general construction.
That's correct.
Okay. Are you okay? All right.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Move on. Let's go.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Jim. We will start department head reports with Chief Wilson. Are you ready, Dave? Did I get you?
Got it. Everything's good, as I'm sure as everybody's seen. The lights on Atlantic Avenue are back in regular operation, so we'll see what happens.
Thank you, Dave. Maureen?
We had our annual visitation today from the assignment judge's office, and they said we were doing exceptionally well, and Rhonda met with Rich on our way out, so they're very pleased with the way the office is being run. So Deanna did a good job.
I wondered who the woman was in your office.
Yes, that was her, yes.
Cool. Thank you.
So Jimmy said, did you get a new employee? I said no.
Jim, do you have anything?
I think you got it all.
Roger?
Well, the building boom continues in Margate. The last couple of days, I've processed a new duplex on South Jefferson Avenue, a new home on a tear down at the corner of Douglas and Atlantic, a new home on a tear down at 200 North Lancaster, a house elevation, 200 North Lancaster, a gigantic new house on the 7500 block of Bayshore Drive, and a new store at the old Weicker Realty at Adams and Ventnor Avenue. I think we may have one vacant store left in town. It's just going gangbusters. Things are going well.
Good. Anything else?
That's it.
All right. Tom?
Good. Everything's good.
I'm skipping this guy. Rich?
Just to let everybody know, we continue with employee labor negotiations. Frankly, they're going quite well. We're substantially completed with respect to employees in the Public Works and General Employee Association. We're substantially completed with the dispatchers, and we're ongoing with the PBA, and we've completed with FMBA and the Beach Patrol. Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Frank?
We're very busy. We still cleaning the beaches. We're going to start setting them up this week for the summer season. We'll be putting down snow fencing, Moby mats, and all the receptacles for the season. And we're also working on beach headquarters, which is coming along real well. We're going to try to finish up the electric tomorrow and the IT stuff, the IT wiring. Over at the old City Hall, we replaced the irrigation system, and we already bought the bushes for around the building. We're going to start replacing them either tomorrow or next week. Also around in our parks around town. You'll also start seeing next week the hanging flowers go up in the streetscape areas. And the garage sale is next weekend, with the Sunday being the cleanup day. We anticipate a little more than last year, and last year was pretty much almost nothing. So whatever they put out, we'll be able to pick up. That's all we have.
Thank you, Frank. Keep up the good work. Tony?
I'm pleased to announce that Station 1 is officially reopened as of last Thursday, and we have our crew back in there, and Station 2 operating normally, not without a few glitches, but everything's going well. I'd like to bring your attention to page 14 on the Current that came out today. There's a nice article written by staff writer Sean Smith on our return to the station, if you'll take a look at it. Thanks.
Ed?
Okay, I gave everyone a copy of the report. On page 2 are the under construction items. We spoke about the firehouse. What we will be doing is, under the soon-to-be awarded road program, looking to get the contractor in just to patch up the trenches in the parking lot so that everything is passable for the summer, and we'll deal with the lot at a later date. On the Gladstone Avenue tank, obviously we're going to permit the microwave dish. There are some little punch list items from the last installation that while they're here, they're going to take care of, so that's a good thing. The 2011 state aid is all complete, and all the closeout documents they are done, so we should be getting that last amount of money. The emergency bulkhead repairs on Kenyon and Lancaster, those bulkheads, Lancaster is about 90% complete, and they have demolished the majority of what little was left on Kenyon. Just so everyone knows, we're installing those bulkheads up to what the current V zone is, the elevation 13, for both of those. So both bulkheads will be higher than they were previously. 2 reasons: storm protection, plus they're being reimbursed by FEMA, and they have to be up to code in order to do that. I reported at the last meeting the mold remediation was complete, so that'll come off. Well number 8, the redevelopment of the well is complete, and they're scheduling to reinstall the pump, the piping, and the motor so that we can get that back online in a fair amount of time for when the increased demand comes on. The asbestos abatement was all complete. The air samples came back clean, and I believe Frank has been working on getting prices for flooring so that those two future offices can be occupied. Benson Avenue water tank, as well as the Gladstone Avenue water tank. The Benson Avenue had its anniversary inspection. We're waiting for that to come back, and we did an inspection of the Gladstone Avenue tank for future capital expenditure that determine when that will be necessary. The beach bulkhead stair repair and replacement program is going along well so that we can make sure that we have beach access for all the residents when the season begins, so that's underway. And we had an emergency develop on Mansfield Avenue, beach block. Essentially, the pipe, almost every joint is collapsing on that street. We have requested asphalt paving systems to give us a price to come in there and essentially replace all the sewer main, tie in the existing laterals, new manholes, and put base course in to patch the trench area. And that price came in at $45,000. It's actually based on unit prices of our soon-to-be awarded road program. They're willing to proceed to get that done so that we're complete before Memorial Day. We have no choice, that has to be done. What I'm going to do tomorrow when I meet with FEMA, which I will ride the beach again with them to go over the bulkheads, I'm going to see if there's any way we can tie this, and there very well may be a tie, because I'm seeing other beach block sewer lines starting to give us problems to the hurricane. Whether it's from the hurricane itself or whether it's from the sand on the streets, I'm going to see if there's any way we can tie that, some of the reimbursement in.
Yeah,
Right.
makes total sense. I mean, all the sand that we had on our streets, you know, some of it ended up in...
Well, that's the tact is, it's threefold. The fact that we were surcharged at least twice during the storm, the fact that we had all the sand on the streets, and then the fact that we had to take the weight off the streets, so.
Cool. Ed, were you looking for an authorization for an award, or are you going to wait 2 weeks, or what do you want to do for that emergency?
No, we're going to wait 2 weeks for the,
Okay.
yeah, we are going to, because we just want to make sure when we have our CFO on board and everything, so. And then at the next meeting, we would award the road program. And then the only other thing is, we had, in my office, we had a discussion regarding, we previously have done streetscape in the past. We would do a program every year. We have funding to pay for a streetscape project that's been sitting there. My question is, do we want to proceed with something like that? It was a block to 2 blocks worth of work, 2 sides of the street. We did apply for a grant. From what I understand, those grants are at a dead halt. I did make a call to check. The prognosis wasn't very good because of Sandy. A lot of available grant funding has been refunneled into community development block grants for the rebuilding, for the beaches and everything. So
I'd like to resume because we took a break last year. Mayor Becker, Commissioner Blumberg, what do you think?
I'm okay with proceeding. Why don't you make a recommendation as to...
What I'll do is I will give you an estimate, you know, almost like it's a fresh project, but let you know what could be done, where we could do it, what the cost is.
With the money that we have.
It's something that we would not do. The construction wouldn't happen until the fall anyway, so we have, the time is there to do it properly.
Okay. Thank you, Ed. We done?
I just had a question for Ed. Ed, if I can jump back to Mansfield, I'm just asking only because how long of a job is it, number one? Number two, Memorial Day is like 24 days away, and if we wait 2 more weeks, then are we going to be working in front of the people's houses on Memorial Day weekend, or doesn't it matter?
For
Mansfield.
Well,
For
he said
Mansfield,
it's gonna start Monday.
the street will be closed.
Oh, okay.
It
All right,
says here
that's
it's going to
great.
start May 6th. Am I correct in reading that? He's going to start this job?
Excuse me?
It says here the contractor is scheduled to start May 6th?
Yes, yes.
That's
The manholes are sitting there.
Okay.
They have the manholes already delivered. We had to get
You
them.
okay with that, Don?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You know,
Okay.
and while the construction's going on, the street will be closed during the day.
Okay.
But it will be opened in the evening.
Okay, thank you, Ed. All right. Maury, you have anything?
Yeah, I have 2 things. I was fortunate enough to attend the Hanco Foundation Triple Play event the other day. It's a fundraiser for scholarships for Margate City School kids. So for those of you that didn't attend, you should try and attend next year. For those that did attend, thank you for the support. The event was out at Hidden Creek. It was an art auction where the kids' paintings from the schools are auctioned off. It was a dinner tasting from all the local restaurants that participated, and 9 holes of golf. So I understand that the event, and I was there, was a tremendous success. Special thanks goes out to the Glucks, Mrs. Vesper and Mr. Hiltner for all the hard work, and all the local vendors that helped organize that day. Secondly, I want to say a public thank you to Lisa, the turtle lady. If you drove the Margate Bridge, you'll see that the turtle fencing project is alive and well, and that they have completed 2 sections. This is really spearheaded by one woman, and the Scouts join in to help. Klein Construction supports it. And I'm sure there's other groups this year that helped as well. People drive and see this project, and they pull over and they stop to help. And so it's a great environmental project, thanks to the Margate Bridge and to all the volunteers. That's all I have.
Thank you, Maureen. I have nothing. Brenda?
I just thought this was great communication that our team put together to go out with the water and sewer bills. Everybody provided something, and I thought it was a good use of the mailing. Thanks.
Okay. We will now go to public comment, and I don't have to do it. I was going to let you go first anyhow, Mayor.
I have a problem with being assertive, Mayor.
We have samples.
By the way, before you start the time clock, is it 3 minutes per topic or 3 minutes in total?
You said you could do it in 2.
I'm going.
2 topics. You said that.
I'm going. Vaughn Real, 6 North Mansfield Avenue. Thank you for the time. We're on a barrier island. You guys know that. Nature of barrier islands, every 1,000 years, it's not going to be here. We don't know where we're at in that cycle. It's safe to, let's assume that we're going to be here for another 200 years. Assuming that a lot of people are saying that what we just experienced was a 50-year storm. I understand that Commissioner Talby is, before getting all the information, I understand it's just a preliminary position, is pro-beach replenishment. Let's assume that it was a 50-year storm. When we went through this previously, the cycle was estimated at a replenishment every 4 years. So that in the next 50 years, we'd have 12.5 beach replenishments. Assuming a cost of $800,000, which is going to be low, I think you're going to find out even at your share. That's $10 million. We didn't have $10 million of damage during the storm. If you're looking at it from that perspective, financially, it seems to be a poor decision. I would ask that you guys get all your information, because I'm actually pro-dune. I'm anti-beach replenishment. And here's part of the reason. We didn't have any loss of life. We had a loss of property. The storm drainage, we're not just looking at the $800,000 for beach replenishment. In Margate, virtually all of the streets on the beach block storm drain to the beach. So we're going to be looking at having to reverse that and tie that in somewhere. It's a ton of money. Next part of it, when we did this, it was a one-sided contract. In other words, the Army Corps could say you had to replenish this year, and if Congress didn't have funding, you, the municipality, were on the hook for the Fed's amount. So you have to do it, there's no money, you got to do it. I know Solicitor Abbott knows something about that. The next issue, quality of sand. I actually have samples from prior to the storm. These are samples from after the storm. I've got about 9 more of these. You can see that the sand in the last beach replenishment in Ventnor is different color, it's a different grade, it's more granular. Go walk barefoot on Ventnor's beaches and walk barefoot on our beaches. It's different. That sand is part of the reason many people live in this community. The soft, gorgeous white sand that we've won awards for. Not that we had anything to do with it, God did, but we've gotten awards for it. Very concerned. And I'm asking, one of the things I'm asking this commission to do, hire a professional to do some samples. I've got samples pre-storm, I got samples post-storm. You can already see the yellow sand from Ventnor on our beaches. It's visible to the eye. And if you look at these samples, now these are taken 2 feet deep. You can visibly see different color, different size grains with the naked eye. The last thing I'll give you on that is that they say that that will bleach out over a few years. Well, the nature of it, if you're listening to what they're saying, is that sand will wash away. Well, under that sand is more yellow granular sand. With that said, I'm asking you, please avoid making a decision before you get all the information and really hammer the heck out of the Army Corps. As much as SIGRIM and John Swift and I had very heated debates on this one, we went at these guys over and over and over again, only to find one piece of missing information after another. So they were not forthcoming. Please, even if you're not required to by law, bring this to a referendum, even if it's a non-binding referendum. The other part is...
Mayor, 30 seconds.
Okay. I'm pro-dune. Plant more Christmas trees. That's how we got a lot of our dunes that are here in Margate right now. They work. As far as fabric of community and charity, Margate Mothers Association is charged $50 for using our community pavilion. They were told they can no longer store their materials at the community pavilion. They provide the Easter egg hunt, they provide the breakfast with Santa, they do our Memorial Day parade, they do our fireworks. Since we're on the issue of nonprofits and charities, I suggest that the city waive the $50 fee. I'm sure it's there to cover an employee due to insurance issues, even though when I was the pack master and I ran the Republican Club, I had a key and we didn't need an employee there. I'm sure that's changed. So the city should absorb that fee because Margate Mothers is part of the fabric of the community. They can't hold a functional meeting and they can't store any of their stuff. Half of it's in my house. So, thank you.
Thank you. Well said, John.
Oh, hey, by the way, no offense, I like having the public on the front end because it's a commissioner-friendly way, the way you guys have it right now. On the front end, you might have to listen to people like me rant, but you don't need to respond. But it's not really public-friendly. Thanks, guys, and I got more samples if you want to see.
Any other public comment?
Dan Campbell, Huntington Avenue. I just want to mention that I think Vaughn and I both know from past experience you want to get up here before Sewell speaks. The question I have, first off, Commissioner Talby, I think you're misinformed, but the organizations that use that stage consist of more than just a log cabin, okay? Spin for the Cure uses that stage. The Dean Randazzo Cancer Fund uses that stage. The Margate City Business Association and their Beach Stock and their Fun Fest use that stage. The JCC uses that stage for their duck swim. And Vaughn, correct me if I'm wrong, don't the Cicettis, what is their organization?
Yeah, they used it when they were doing the Brittle Bones Foundation.
Brittle Bones Foundation, A Day for Sebastian, uses that stage also. So it's not just a log cabin thing. But I want to find out what you three just agreed on. Is in fact, if you agree to this ordinance, if it's stored at the log cabin and the Dean Randazzo Cancer Fund wants to use the stage, how are they going to get that and who's going to put it together? What have we solved?
We have another stage that won't be going to the log cabin, but I'm not familiar. Did Dean Randazzo use it last year? I don't remember them using it last year. I mean, and you mentioned Fun Fest and Beach Stock. That's the Margate
I don't think
businesses.
Randazzo used it, but
No.
the other ones did, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, instead of the 7 I named, we're at 6, but that still doesn't solve the problem. If one organization wants to use this stage, just one, what's the resolve? What are we doing here? What?
We have another stage, and we'll address it when we have that request.
Okay. You know, this is kind of frustrating because every time I come to this meeting, it's not addressed. It keeps getting pushed off.
Well, I think there was...
Spin for the Cure is in June, and we don't have an answer yet. So, you know, to save $1,500, I mean, let's piggyback what Vaughn has to say.
What's the location of the Spin for Cure?
Spin for the Cure has their party at Stephen Cookie's in the driveway.
And the driveway.
And they use the stage for the band. And it's a great cause. They raise money. All of the residents in this town, a lot of residents in this town go there. I mean, there are plenty of people that suffer from these things. And to piggyback what Vaughn said...
Dan, I assure you, we're not trying to hurt anybody here. I really not.
Then why is there...
Right.
But Mike, if I just might interrupt, the intent of waiving the fees, independent of where the stage is stored, the intent of waiving the fees is that if the commission agrees that a charitable event needs and we want to grant the use of the stage, as long as the fees are waived and the setup of that stage, and this was what I discussed with the solicitor, the setup of that stage, as long as it's not on overtime, as long as it's on regular time, there will be no charge.
That's correct.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. So you're saying that as long as it's on regular time, the city will set up that stage?
We will do our best to get that.
And again, thanks to you and Frank, the way Public Works now conducts business, we can set stages up on Saturdays and Sundays if we had to.
And I'll tell you what, well, Vaughn left, but if that's the case, I'm sure we can get $50 from any of those organizations to pay for his Margate Mothers fee to use.
Hey,
the pavilion.
When you go home, would you call them and tell them that? It'd probably make them happy.
No, I'm not calling him. You can call him.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Dan, you beat Mr. Sewell by 3 minutes.
It was only a courtesy, Mayor, to the former commissioner. There's a crude sign atop a wino bar at 5-6 and Walnut. And this sign says, if you think the cost of education is expensive, then consider the cost of ignorance. And this May Day letter of May 1st is Exhibit A. As Vaughn Reel correctly pointed out, that $900,000 initial cost is only the tip of the iceberg. And we'll have this financial millstone around taxpayers' necks for decades, for a half a century, solicitor. And it's all bogus, bogus. If Madam Commissioner had any sense of history, she would realize that the Army Corps of Engineers is a corps of grifters. They have cost taxpayers here in the US of A billions of dollars. Start with the Everglades. Look at the Mississippi. And you could even contact the solicitor's good buddy, Glenn Klotz, to get a little take on this. And he would perhaps enlighten your vast array. You know, if the commissioner wasn't so obsessed with harassing city employees during the Sandy storm, perhaps she could have danced down the Ventnor Boardwalk.
Point of order here, please. No, thank you. Point of order.
John, let's be respectful, okay?
Well, we'll be as respectful as we can because of the outrages that we have to sustain, Mayor. But had she taken the time to go down the Ventnor Boardwalk and examine the beach blocks in Ventnor, hey, guess what? And I think the solicitor might back me up on this. The damage to those beach blocks were caused by the dunes being unable to allow the water to exit onto the beach because the Army Corps of Engineers is totally incompetent.
There was no sand on the Ventnor Beach like there was here.
Well, and you know...
on the streets.
Now listen, you say you don't want to be questioned, but you want to comment. You can't have it both ways, Commissioner, so zip your lip. Furthermore, you go on to say, we can't question the fact that the sea level is rising. Well, maybe you can't question, but I can assure you, renowned, respected scientists throughout the world, both in Germany and Russia, are doing just that. They're actually predicting a mini ice age. And if you can have the background and intelligence to realize what transpired in the last age...
30 seconds.
Well, we'll use those 30 seconds most judiciously, Mayor.
Boy, thank you, Sean.
The sea level dropped 300 feet, which allowed the Aborigines to make it to Australia. So don't talk about sea level rising. This is Al Gore's soft massage. Don't buy into it, because it's a self-serving, self-enriching energy credit scam by the Democrats, and perhaps by yourself. And last but not least, Mayor...
5 seconds.
5 seconds, Mayor.
Use it judiciously.
I'll use them most judiciously, Mayor. Safeguarding the property of our residents. Well, oceanfront property does not want to look at a wall of sand. You put a wall of sand up, and those property values go in the toilet. I'll continue at the next public comment, Mayor.
Anyone else?
Ann Pankos, 200 North Osborne Avenue. Not sure I got this clearly because the sound isn't the greatest back there. But I understand that there's a Green Acres issue about the field and the batting cage. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Is that what I heard?
It depends, Ann, on who you ask.
Excuse me?
I said it depends on who you ask.
No, I can't hear you, Maury.
Commissioner Blumberg said it depends on who you ask, am I correct?
Yeah, that's what I said.
I'm sorry, I didn't, okay, then maybe I'll just make it a blanket statement. The batting cage was built, I believe, in 2009. And are we now saying that according to Green Acres, we were not in compliance? Is that what's occurred?
Scott, what can you say?
I don't think we should say anything, to be honest.
Without violating?
I think I can answer.
Okay. We're going to have the legal beagle answer this, Ann.
There's no such thing as free money.
There's no
Green Acres, there's no such thing as free money. Green Acres and many of these towns in New Jersey are finding out there are many strings attached to Green Acres money. And in this situation, they want to have say about our Little League lease running the Little League field. And we are going to meet with them and resolve it. And I'm confident we can get this worked out.
So, in other words, Green Acres has said that the city is not in compliance with the batting cage.
I think they've indicated, I don't know if that's true or not. They can say whatever they want or allege whatever they want, but once we get into it and take a good hard look at it.
How they can say anything they want if it's a law? I don't get that, Scott.
Well, Ann, I deal with the DEP all the time, and I can tell you, many times they take a position that's not correct. Repairing claims, for instance, that are phony. So we will straighten it out. Yes, there's an issue. It's been raised. We will meet with them. I will meet with them as a legal representative. And I assure everybody we will continue to have a Little League in Margate, and that ball field's not leaving.
Okay.
Well,
It'll be fine.
Is it true that the field and where the batting cage is it true that that is parkland?
Of course, that whole area is parkland.
And that it was funded by Green Acres?
Well, that's partially true, partially not true. That Little League field, those ball fields were there long before Green Acres, and they were paid for by the taxpayers of Margate. Margate put those fields there. They've been there for, at least 50 years. It is true, however, that Green Acres did put up some money for some of the improvements there. Back to...
And the city is going to allow the taxpayers of Margate to know about this issue?
Of course, there'll always be full disclosure. This will be resolved. That would never be hidden.
And this is a very transparent body, and as this develops, you'll be kept apprised of what's going on. Okay? Anyone else?
All right.
Perhaps. Art Cortilli, 114 North Lancaster Avenue. I know there's a big move on for this dune project, but I just happened to walk to the beach on Lancaster Avenue and noticed that they replaced the bulkhead, and I guess they're going to put the steps in. But the bulkhead that I noticed is there now is right next to the original bulkhead that continues, and it's about 1.5 foot, it seems to me, higher, which brings the idea that maybe if we just look to, instead of going to this huge cost year after year, ongoing cost to do dunes, if we look to raising the bulkheads just, I don't know, 2 feet or whatever, might be something that would back FEMA off or whatever and make them happy. I'm sure that would protect the homes as well as the dunes, and in addition, would not interfere with the drainage from the huge storms out to the beach. And that, I think, would be a tremendous win right there. So, and it wouldn't be such an eyesore, and when you go on the beach, you would enjoy the same sand that you have now and not this coarse construction sand. So, think about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Art. Anyone else?
Steve Warner, 103 North Sumner Avenue. I just want to continue my discussion last 2 weeks ago, that with regards to, now it seems that the city is moving into Union Avenue School for the City Hall, which, after thinking about it for 2 weeks, I think that's okay, but I think maybe it should be fully used. And I have two ideas, and one would be to move the police into the bottom end of the City Hall and let them use the second
Steve,
floor.
I don't think this was discussed at work session. Mike, was this item discussed at work session?
We did not, Steve.
Can you bring this up at the next meeting?
Do you have something else? Can you save that for the 5 o'clock meeting, which will be 5:30?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comment?
Giacovini, 112 North Vendome Avenue. If I understand right, there's a 7-foot piece of land that the city is thinking about vacating in exchange for a bulkhead, right?
More or less.
More or less. Is there any way that, along with that agreement, that you could make them responsible for that bulkhead in perpetuity?
That's what's typically done.
Okay.
That's been the past history, Jeff.
Okay, that was my concern, that we don't give it away for a one-time
They also
bulkhead,
maintain
and
the
then
bulkhead.
20 years from
Right.
now,
No.
have to pay for the bulkhead.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thanks. Good point. Anyone else? Is there a motion to close public comment, please?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
Yes.
Is there a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Blumberg?
Yes.
Ms. Taube?
I think we will reconvene 5 minutes. Good job, Scott. Maury, Brenda, good job.